I would like to finish the story what I started on the bus. Don't touch the wall, sir, because the color will stay on your t-shirt. I know everybody confused something about the body in there, right? You think the body there is real or not?
No.
It's real. It's a real preserved body. But don't ask me how to do that because I don't know yet. Don't want the government secrets. But he looked good, right? He looks so good. With us, yeah, they keep his body in a special bomb or something like that. And something I want to show you in there also. When you came inside the mausoleum, you see the sentence, không có gì quý hơn độc lập tự do. You see that, the letter at the main gate. That one means nothing is more precious than freedom and independence. And behind the coffins, you remember the two things. The first one, the Vietnamese flag. You remember that yellow star in the red flags, in the red colors. And yellow star represent for the freedom, and red color for the soldier blood. To have a freedom today, too many people die. On the left hand side, the hammer and sickle, right? The one is communist flag. And I mentioned before, Uncle Ho, he was a founder of communism in Vietnam. You remember that? I mentioned before, he left Vietnam in 1911 when he was 21 years old. He tried to find a way to do revolution in Vietnam. He returned to our country in 1941 when he was 51 years old, after 30 years moving around the world. Sorry, Vietnamese family, they call me. Sorry. And I mentioned before, Uncle Ho, he came back to Vietnam in 1941 when he was 51 years old, after 30 years moving around the world. But special thing when he came back here, at that time, not only French occupied Vietnam, one more country occupied Vietnam at the same time with the France. You know who is that? Which country?
Americans.
Not America. Japan. Not China, Japan. Japan, they came to occupy Vietnam in 1940 in the Second War. You know, when they came here, at the first moment, they did not want to share Vietnam with the French. Of course, French did not want to share Vietnam with the Japanese. Nobody wanted to share the cake with another one, right? But they did not want to join each other in our country. At the first moment, they accepted to share Vietnam together, to repress Vietnam together. You can imagine two countries repress Vietnam at the same time like that. The life at that time was so hard for us. Population of Vietnam at that time was 20 million people that day. Over 2 million of Vietnamese people died from starvation. We have nothing to eat. During 18 provinces in the north of our country, the dead body was everywhere. People did not care about the dead body on the main road because everything they cared was the food at that time. And that's the reason why nowadays when you come here, you see many Vietnamese people still eating dog meat. With dog, eat cat, rat, snake, or some animal like that. A lot of people told me very terrible when see Vietnamese people eating some animal like that. But you should imagine, in the past when we have no choices, we have to eat animal we got at that time. When Uncle Ho came back here, he saw many things from French, many things from Vietnamese, and many things from Japanese also. And he said we could not origin to those countries at the same time. He said he needed time to do something. The first thing he said, he needed time to have Vietnamese people learn how to write, how to read, because one stupid country, that's a country nobody know how to write, nobody know how to read. And he wanted to improve education first. The second thing he said, he needed time to train Vietnamese military. At that time, Vietnamese soldier and was so brave, but they did not have any good skill in fighting. He wanted to train them to become the better system, to become the big system of the military at that time. And the third one, he said, he needed time to get the belief from Vietnamese people. He wanted to bring everybody join the war together. He said, if we wanted to against invader, we only have one choice. Everyone in Vietnam must be a soldier. Everything here must be a weapon. Every house here must be a military barrack. And the last one, he said, he needed time to pick up one invader, to use them to against the different one. Because he said, we could not against two those countries at the same time, so we have to use them to against the different one. And he picked up Japanese. He ordered Japanese to have Vietnamese people to against French together in our country. He did something like that during 4 years, from 41 to 45. On the 9th of March 1945, Japanese accepted the order of Uncle Ho to against French together in our country. French left Vietnam on the 9th of March 1945. After March 1945, only Japanese repressed Vietnam. But you know, in the Second War, on the 14th of August 1945, Japanese surrendered. You know that event? And he said it was a big chance for us to against them in our country. On the August 19, he led Vietnamese people to do the first revolution in our country towards the Japanese in Vietnam. And then on the September 2nd, 1945, he stood on the square in front of the mausoleum where we queue up to go inside the building there. He stood right there with 80,000 Vietnamese to declare independence in our country. On the September 2nd is Independence Day in Vietnam. Every year we have the national holiday. Every 5 years we have the big celebration on the square in the country also. And then Uncle Ho, he was elected to become the first president in Vietnam in 1946 in the first national election in our country. Nowadays we have elections compulsory. We can do that when we get 18 years old at the term 5 years. But in Vietnam, I don't vote for prime minister. I don't vote for president. I vote for the member of the parliament center. You remember, I mentioned before the building there. Then the member of the parliament center, they represent Vietnamese people to vote for prime minister, to vote for president. And I mentioned before French left Vietnam on the 9th of March 1945. But 1 year later, in 1946, they returned again. They returned to occupy Vietnam again with the help of the British. When they came back, Uncle Ho and government member, they went to the northeast of Vietnam. They live in the house of minority, they live in the forest to lead Vietnamese people towards invader. And French won Vietnam was ended on the May 7, 1954 in Dien Bien Phu. Anyone heard about Dien Bien Phu? Dien Bien Phu is the name of a little town on the top of the mountain in the northeast of Vietnam. Dien Bien Phu near the border between Laos and Vietnam. Dien Bien Phu was built to become the big machine for killing, for pounding Vietnamese soldier. French, they said Dien Bien Phu was impossible to be damaged because that one very protected. To reach Dien Bien Phu, we need to pass a rice field. But they said we could not do that because they made the mine field on the ground there. And after passing the rice field, they said we could not come up to the mountain with the women we had at that time because at that time Vietnamese military, we did not have any air force, no helicopter. That's not. We got the normal weapon from the Soviet Union had, from Chinese had. That's it. And they said we could not move the weapon to the mountain because the shell at that time was so tiny and the rock was so sharp at that time. They said even when we could do those impossible things, we could not stay there to resist them because Dien Bien Phu was so far away from the different villages. Dien Bien Phu was so far away from Hanoi, over 500 kilometers. They said we did not have enough food, the rice, the medicine, the water, stuff to stay there to resist them. But it was wrong because everyone in Vietnam joined the war together. Vietnamese soldiers, when they could not pass the rice field on the ground, they made the tunnel and they would rather do that. When they come up to the mountain, builder team lead the way. Builder lead the way to be the shell for the soldier. When soldier come up, they did that at the night time. Thousands of the soldiers come up together, they use their hands, use human power to carry all the weapon we got at that time to the mountain. But the weapon was so big. And they covered the weapon by the leaf and they disassembled the weapon to become small pieces. To carry all these small pieces to the mountain. But it took too long time to do that. It took 3 months to carry all the weapon to the mountain there. When they got them all there, they assembled them again to become the cannon, to become the tank. When they stay there, they need the food, of course. They need too much food, too much stuff there. Many Vietnamese women became soldiers. Someone who could not fight, they became the farmer to arrange the food. Someone who was stronger, they became the transporter to carry the weapon, carry the stuff, the rice to Dien Bien Phu to support soldier. They used a bicycle from Soviet Union had to do that. You know, one woman with one bicycle in Vietnam could carry 300 kilograms of the food to Dien Bien Phu there. 20,000 people carry stuff together. They carried 26,000 tons of the rice, 19,000 tons of the stuff to Dien Bien Phu. Over 45,000 people joined the campaign together, and we joined them there during 56 days. Over 5,000 Vietnamese people was killed. 4,000 was killed, 1,000 missing at that time. And at the last minute, French could not believe why they was defeated by Vietnamese. And they left the north of Vietnam in 1954. They moved into the down south. And at that time, whole country was divided into two parts, communist part and non-communist part. After 1956, after Geneva Agreement, and when French left, Uncle Ho came back to Hanoi in 1954. But when he came back, his special thing, he got nothing for him. He was a president, but he only had 2 t-shirts, 2 trousers, 1 pair of the flip-flop, and no house, no office. He was invited to live inside the yellow palace. You remember I mentioned before. And our president worked inside the building there. Uncle Ho was invited to live inside there. Almost of yellow building around here was made by French. and with the French architecture. The reason why French, the reason why they use the yellow color represent for the luxury life, represent for the luxury life of the French, represent for the power of the French in Indochina at that time. When French they left, government they took over that and they invited Uncle Ho to live in there, but he did not want to do that. He said that building was built on the blood, on the dead body of Vietnamese people. He could not live inside the luxury building there by himself. He chose one little house for him. Anybody with the brochure, please? And he chose one little house for him. What's the house of the worker? You see the little house here. This one was the house of the French worker. When they left, Uncle Ho, they pick up this one. He chose this one to live inside there. He lived inside the house here during 4 years, from 54 to 58. So we call the house here the house 54. And in 1958, government built for him another house, in the house on stilts. Anyone heard that? And because during French War, Uncle Ho, he lived inside the house like this for well. But he loved that moment. Many times when he came back, he always miss about the moment when he lived inside the house here. Oh, that's why government built the house here in 1958. He lived inside the house here from 58 until 69. I will take you to visit two of them later because they are inside the garden there. And thank you. I mentioned before French left Vietnam in 1954. But after French, we haven't had freedom yet because after that, another country occupied Vietnam. Who is that? America. The reason why many countries occupy Vietnam like that, have you thought this? The first reason is communism. At that time, communism raised up very strong in Asia. Many countries follow communism, like North Korea, China, Cuba, Soviet Union, Vietnam, Laos, follow communism. So the different countries in World War II, communism could raise up stronger to against them. That's why they try to destroy that. And the second reason why they did not choose a different communist country. Why always Vietnam? Because Vietnam's small country in Asia, but we have a long shape. When you see Vietnam from the map, you see Vietnam very narrow in the middle, but there are 3,260 kilometers the long coast in Vietnam. That one make Vietnam to become the important countries in Asia. Vietnam look like the main gate of the Southeast of Asia. Almost of the big ship when go to Southeast of Asia will stop at the big seaport in Vietnam nowadays to get the diesel, get the petrol, get the food. So many countries in the past, they thought that if they could have Vietnam, they could have the different countries nearby Vietnam, like Laos, Cambodia, China. That's why China supported Vietnamese a lot of things in the past, because they protected Vietnam to protect China. And the third reason, underground in Vietnam, we have so rich resources. We have sapphire, diamond, the gold, silver mine, coal, COAL, diesel, and the oil in the water. That's why they try to get them like that. When America they came here, at the first moment, they tried to control everything. But when they got the same problem with the French, with the Japanese, in America they said they did not want to do that anymore. They wanted to erase whole Vietnam on the map of the world. During American war, they dumped to Vietnam 1.6 million tons of bomb to damage our country. Not only bomb, they used one more thing in Vietnam, much more dangerous than bomb. Not the napalm. Napalm's a firebomb, chemical weapon, Agent Orange. Agent Orange was used in Vietnam during 10 years, from 64 to 73, because they tried to destroy the forest to fight Vietnamese soldiers. At that time, Vietnamese soldiers, they got experience during French War, and military system was improved very fast at that time. And soldiers in Vietnam, they used everything in the natural to kill American soldiers very slowly. The soldiers, they cover the body by the mud. By the leaf, they hide under the water, they hide in the bush in the forest to kill American soldiers very slowly. American soldiers, some of them, they got the nightmare. They said Viet Cong, in the Viet Cong, like the ghosts appear and disappear very fast. That's why they try to destroy the forest to fight Vietnamese soldiers. And they use 100 million liters of the Agent Orange in our country during 10 years. And Vietnamese soldiers, when they stay in the forest there, they breathe the air, they drink the water, and when they came back home, they got cancer. And when the baby is born, baby have been affected by the Agent Orange. Even nowadays, when the war's gone, over 3.5 million of Vietnamese, 3 generations of Vietnamese have been affected by the Agent Orange, and haven't done yet, haven't finished it. And unlucky for Vietnamese because Uncle Ho, he passed away in the war. I mentioned before Independence Day. You remember September 2nd? He passed away on the same day, same month. He passed away on the September 2nd, 1969, when he was 79 years old. He got the lung cancer. Not from the Agent Orange, from cigarettes, because he smoked too much. And special thing in his life, he did not get married when he was alive. And with us, the most important thing in our life is a family, right? But with him, the most important thing in his life was the freedom of the country, of Vietnamese people. That's why he did not want to get married. When he passed away, he made the will. In the will, he said he did not want to be preserved. He did not want to be buried. He wanted to be cremated. And after cremation, he wanted to be buried the ashes in 3 places. The first part of the ashes, he wanted to be buried in the north. Second part in the center, in the down south. But at that time, whole Vietnam was divided into 2 parts, communists and non-communists. People in the down south, they heard many things about him, but they never met him before. They wanted to visit him when the war's gone. In the case like that, you see, government did not follow his will to cremate his body. They built the mausoleum there. When they have a Soviet Union to preserve his body there, they said they did that because they tried to give the people the chance to visit him when the war's gone. Simon was people happy with that. And the building was built in 1973, and the body was moved to preserve in there in 1975. Nowadays, that one open every morning. That's 3 hours per day. In the weekday, open from 7:30 to 10:15. On the weekend, from 7:30 to 10:45. When you go back to the bus, you see this one closed already. And the war in Vietnam was ended on the April 30, 1975. 1 year later, in 1976, government in Vietnam, they renamed the name of the biggest city in Vietnam from Saigon to Ho Chi Minh with the name of our president. But many people still go Saigon because Saigon is shorter and easier to remember. But doesn't matter whether it goes Saigon or Ho Chi Minh, okay? But official name of the city is Ho Chi Minh City. That's something about the war, some information about alcohols. That's what they give you. Hope you understand what happened in the past in our country. You know, before the COVID, I took the tour like this on Seoul. I met many people. Almost the people feel happy with us, with Vietnam. But I met many people that complained during the trip. They gave us an angry face from the first moment when they got on the bus. They complained about the bus, about pollution of the air, about the traffic, about Vietnamese not getting the rules. They did that because they did not understand anything about the history of Vietnam. You know, when the war's gone, we have to rebuild whole Vietnam from number 0. We have had freedom for 44 years only. But before that, we were under the invasion of the invader 1,000 years, over 1,000 years under the war. Freedom for over 40 years only. That's why in Vietnam, if you compare Vietnam to the different countries like Singapore, Malaysia, Japan, Korea, Vietnam very bad. But everything you see nowadays, we try our best to serve. But you see, even we are poor, but Vietnamese look so friendly, right? Look happy because I mentioned before, and Uncle Hoi was so simple man, so we follow him. And the second thing, we believe in karma. If we are good people, we get a good thing back. And the first reasons, the most important thing, we have freedom. We do whatever we want, even we are so poor. So I hope you understand that, okay? So everything is clear? Any question, please?
Can I, like, you said it's divided into a freedom and Russia, or
No, what do you mean?
like a communist? Are you still in a communist and
Yes,
the other side?
nowadays, but
Nowadays,
non-communist. In the past, non-communist, controlled by America.
Or control now by
In the down south. But I mean in the past. How the country is unified in 1975. Now communism take over the country.
So
Whole
now-
country now is communist.
Okay.
Yes. Political system in Vietnam is communism.
So,
only
for-
one party here is Vietnamese Communist Party.
Okay. So Ho Chi Minh is a communist? Or?
Yes, it was.
Okay. All right.
But not 100%, because something very different. Because he picked up some good thing in the communism and he left the bad thing away.
So this is a president's residence, I guess. We're on the Ho Chi Minh Complex area, where we're not allowed to take any pictures of the Ho Chi Minh Complex facilities. That'd be either on the ground or inside the mausoleum. So this is our first opportunity we have to actually use our video. We're not even allowed to bring our bigger camera inside any of the facility, so they had to be left on the bus. So now we're Saturday, April the 22nd, 2023. We're in Hanoi, and we're on the Ho Chi Minh Mausoleum facility area.
Thank you, darling.
Yeah. There.
over here first, please. We go in there, please. We go inside here. President Ho Chi Minh, when he was alive, he had three cars. The first one there, the big one there, and the middle one, two of them are the Russian brand. Two of them was given by Soviet Union government. And the last one here, the French brand, was given by Vietnamese community who resident in France. But when Uncle Ho was alive, he was so simple man. He was not really tall at all. He was about 1.85 meters. So he did not use the big one there. Even the big one was the armor and bulletproof. But he did not use that. He did not use the medium one here. You can take a quick look and take a photo, then we go in this way to see these houses.
ไปทีละคันเบอร์ละคันไปเลยเข้าเบอร์ไหนก็
Here you see the building on the left hand side there. That one is the original house on stilts of Uncle Ho. We go in there later. And I want to show you one more thing, the mango grove right here. Or the tree here on the mango. This one was the place where Uncle Ho did exercise when he was alive. Twice per day. 5 a.m. and 5 p.m. he run around here to do exercise. And right behind me here you see many small things growing up. They are not the trees. They're still alive, but they are not the trees. They are the roots of the big tree there. They are the roots of that. The tree named the cypress. The cypress tree, they live in the South Africa, the swamp area. The swamp area, the roots are growing up like this. They would not turn into the new tree, just growing up to get more water. Even now we call them with the name Buddha head, because the top of the roots very similar to the head of the Buddha, no hair on there.
Wow. It's a cypress.
Going this way, please. Cypress. They live in the swamp area, near by the swamp.
See that? The
This one, the big one here, the main tree there.
that's the main tree, and that's the root. Yeah, roots of the cypress tree, spreading everywhere.
Yeah, I got a chance to get those soldiers now.
Yeah, you're right. Make sure you take the.
Doing a video right now.
When Uncle Ho was alive, he had two houses. The first one right here. This one was original house of the worker I mentioned before. They lived inside here during 4 years from 54 to 58. While they passing this, you see there are 3 rooms in there. The first one was his bedroom. Only have one single bed with a ceiling fan on the top. No TV, no AC, no aircon. The second one was the dining room where I got the food. The last one was working room. There are 3 kind of walls in the different languages. On the wall there are 2 pictures of the VIP. The first one was Vladimir Lenin, someone of Kamas. On the building on the right hand side here, that one was original kitchen. The place where the people they cook the food for him in there. But we cannot go in there because nowadays government use them like the office for the officer. We take a look his first house and we go to the second house after that place. Thank you. You can do the picture please. You can take a photo. Excuse me, ladies and gentlemen. Over here, please. You can sit there as okay. You sit there as okay. Excuse me, ladies and gentlemen. You see the house on the right-hand side here. This one is original house of Uncle Ho. In Australia, someone from Australia, right? The house here is the Queenslander style. And this one similar to the house of the minority people in the northeast of Vietnam. And they live in the forest, so they build the house on stilts like this. Because the animal, they are very dangerous. They worry about the big animal like the lion, tiger, and they build the house on stilts. People live on the second floor. The first floor, they build animal cage. That's why they have the house on stilts style like this. And Uncle Ho lived inside here during 11 years, from 1958 until 69. But in fact, he did not pass away there. He passed away inside the little house here. Green color one behind that. You see that one? Because before passing away, his health was not really good at all. He could not come up to the house by himself, but he did not want to disturb anyone. So he moved to live inside that house to live there 2 weeks before passing away. He passed away there at 9:47 a.m. on the September 2nd, 1969. I mentioned before. And you see the little mountain on the left-hand side here. This one is a bomb shelter. Bomb shelter, government designed for him 9 meters deep underground, 12 square meters big. This one is the entrance to the bomb shelter. You see the mosquito net here, but we cannot go in there. And with the house, you see on the first floor have one table with many chairs. That one was the place where Uncle Ho organized the meeting with his comrades when he was alive. And you see the benches, concrete benches, was ordered to build by President Ho Chi Minh. And because when he was alive, he loved the kids, he loved animals. Even he was so busy, but all the time he spent the time on the town. He always available for the kids when the kids need to talk to him.
Don't feel good
So he
being
ordered to
filmed
build the
all the
benches so
time.
the children could sit there to talk to him when he was alive. On the second floor was his bedroom
sure you
and
don't-
working room. One more special thing
Oh, you're
about the house here, you haven't
Make
seen
sure you are
any
not filming
toilet.
it.
No toilet, no kitchen in there. And in fact, when the people design the house, they had the plan to design
sure
a
you
private kitchen, private toilet. But he did not allow to build that. He said for this house to waste money already. So during 11 years, he did not want to spend anything for him to build the private toilet, private kitchen. He used a public one. And he used a public kitchen, public bathroom with other people who work here with him. All of them was far away from here, about 150 meters, nearby the car's garage. You remember the building I mentioned before, original kitchen. That's why we haven't seen them like that. He was a president, but he lived a simple life. He was so humble man. That's why he was so famous like that. Okay, now we go in this way, please.
rồi chưa sáng dần mình Hồ Chí Minh Hồ Chí Minh Hồ Chí Minh vượt trường sông người đi khắp phương trời liền tôi ý chí lòng